Well, this is going to be pretty much a rant day today for Tuesday, as we went all off a little while ago on Warner Brothers. But looky, for those of you who doubted, last Friday on our last week's edition before Friday, we had put up that basically a lawsuit was coming, that the court papers were going out, and we were away for the Easter weekend, and look what turned up. This is the court filing for, didn't even know his name was Victor. My wife said, well, obviously his name was Victor if his name was Vic. Vic Mignogna, and this is the case on there. This is the first set of papers to go out, or is round one, as I say, to Funimation's Jamie Marshy, Monica Rial, and Ron Toye. Now, for those doubters out there, there it is. There it is, right there, black and white. This is really, really happening. One thing I've been saying a lot lately is that Facebook, Twitter has been, and words have been weaponized. Diversity, Me Too movement, all that has been weaponized in today's political atmosphere. And this is coming, when you look at situations where people try to do good, and then there are those out there that manipulate it, twist it into what they want. This is the things that start to happen. Obviously, if you've been under a rock, which basically now and today some of the mainstream media is starting to pick this up. Vic Mignogna, voice actor, Broly in the current Dragon Ball Super movie, which just been released, has been accused of sexual misconduct, homophobia, and a couple other things. And basically has been fired from some of his jobs, Rooster Teeth, Funimations. He has been disavowed by conventions, which now he's starting to get re-invited back to these conventions now. Looks like at this point now they're turning to see the light, that you have to have facts and evidence. And I repeat this again, facts and evidence. Because we're innocent until proven guilty. And for those of you on Twitter that keep saying, not here. Yes, here. Facts and evidence. We are in the United States of America, and when you accuse somebody, you better have enough evidence to back it up in a court of law. Because this is where we get to the point where basically you can have an opinion. You don't like the guy? Fine. Don't like him. But don't attack his job, his livelihood, by saying, well, my best friend of a friend heard he did this. Well, if that person hasn't come forward and gone to the police, that's, because you heard it, until it sits in a courtroom and adjudicated, it's not fact until it's there. You could say it till you're blue in the mouth. You cannot sit there and take away someone's livelihood because on that. We've already seen this, and we're seeing overturns that are coming. We've seen with Chris Hardwick. We've seen it with Johnny Depp. And we've seen it with one of his other co-stars that have gone through the same situation, where there was no evidence to the nature, or the evidence was not to what it was, that it was something else. And this is, like I said, things are being weaponized. The Me Too movement, I can understand sexual harassment, rape, sexual attacks. It's wrong. That's totally wrong. And those who have done it, whether they're male or female, and I stress this out, male or female, because it can happen to either a man, woman, and even a child also. That basically a sexual assault can happen to anyone. And this must be brought forward, taken to the police, gone through a court, and let the courts do their jobs. There are plenty of people out there who who are afraid to come forward because of all of this bullshit, where people have lied to get ahead of situations, to attack someone, whether it's because of their religion, their work ethics, that they're making more money than them, that, they're well liked. It gets ridiculous. Now, looking through the case, and I could see where we're going with this, is that we see from the claims we have several sections. We have defamation. We have torturous interference with existing contracts, torturous interference with prospective business relations, civil conspiracy, vicarious liability. And the only one I think is that's going to be a real big fight is probably going to be the defamation, because basically there could be there's something called anti-SLAPP, which I'm still looking up that a little bit. I think it has to deal with something to the nature that if you're a celebrity or something of that nature, how can you defame someone? They take critique, which that's understandable, but in certain conditions, I think that it can be fought to the point where, and this is the case where Twitter comes into the situation, that basically, you have so many people doing this, and they're taking that defamation and telling his jobs, the conventions, that this is going on, and that basically there's investigations going on, that this guy's going to go to jail, so and so. So, I mean, that's where you get to a borderline where basically you're harming, and that goes into torturous interference with existing contracts. So you kind of I could say, like I said, I don't have a legal ease on this. I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, but I think Part A and Part B of the situation, you could say they could all practically go together, because when you were sitting there and people are saying this happened, and they're whispering it to everybody else, and they're whispering it to people who basically contract you to come to their conventions and stuff like that, and then they tell you, well, don't come. You had a contract with those companies, and basically now you're not getting paid, and they're dropping you for no reason whatsoever, because basically they're getting information from somebody, which we're finding out some of it's Ron Toye, which, he's doesn't, as far as we know, doesn't work for Funimations. If he did, he's in even bigger trouble, to the situation, because some of his tweets, some of the tweets that a lot of these guys have been saying, it's been like, oh, we know 100 people that have been assaulted by him and stuff like that. And there's something in the paperwork, in this legalese that's in here, that puts to the point that it's asking in the discovery that they produce this information. If you know that somebody was attacked by him, who are they? What's their address? What's their email? Because we want to speak with them on how they spoke to you. Now, if you're just sitting there saying, well, you're spouting out of the mouth, saying, hey, yeah, there are about 100 women that said this and that, And if this is hearsay because you just heard it on the internet, on Twitter, you're in deep, deep trouble. Now, I'm surprised Toei, I know they're pissed off. I know they're really, really pissed off. Because one thing about the Japanese, and I know this from friends of mine who've done business with Japan, when it comes to their product, and this you yourselves can go out and see that this does happen. Try putting up a Godzilla on YouTube. See how fast Toho knocks it down. Ask the guys at Mystery Science Theater 3000 how fast, when they started getting really, really popular, there is no remnants of, there's just like a very little, but, it's what you can get out. There's no Godzilla full episodes on the Mystery Science 3000 series. Shout, it's not even on Shout. There are episodes of Mystery Science 3000. I think it was Godzilla vs. Megalon and Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, which they riff. It is not available. It's been pulled. Ask the guys over at the guys who do Dragon Ball Abridged how hard it is to deal with Toei when their stuff gets pulled a lot, even though they've worked hard to get it back up on there. But let me tell you, the Japanese does not like anyone playing with their product. They're very into it. I mean, you could say a lot of companies here don't like playing with their products, but there are companies. For example, George Lucas. There are a lot of guys out there that make great little mini movies from Star Wars. Look what George Lucas did. What help that George Lucas gave to one guy who made a movie that got panned by Disney, and George Lucas turned around and told him, and says, "Listen, no, you don't do that. The guy's made a movie, a really good movie. He spent $100,000 of his own money to make this little mini movie. He's about to spend another $200,000 to make the second part, and yet they want to block it." So these companies are very rigid when it comes to their product. But like I said, I'm surprised Toei has not stepped in. I think they're just standing back and seeing what's going to happen. Now, we know Sony is involved in part of this because we're told there was some sort of investigation. And if you saw my other video about the jelly bean, I'm still laughing at that. I'm really, really laughing at that because that is just ridiculous. That part of the evidence that was used to get Vic fired from Funimations was a jelly bean incident, where a jelly bean was taken. Monica wrote her name on there, and he popped it in his mouth and said, "Hey, I ate Monica Rial." It's ridiculous. But we've gotten to a point with this case is that we shouldn't have not been brought to this level. Funimations and Sony should have put his foot down on this immediately as soon as this was starting to happen. And done a real proper full investigation. And they would have seen there's nothing can be done because there is no evidence to the facts and evidence to this any other than people saying that it happened. No one has filed a police report. No one has gone to court against Vic Mignogna with this situations. What we've known, and we know that Anime News Network may be another one that's going to be on this listing, is that some of it's been falsified in photos, where photos were used by the media that basically said, well, this person, look how they looked, how they feel him holding on there. And we've had these people come back online and says, do not use my photo. I know there was one girl online, she came out and says, excuse me, I never was that way. Please do not use my photos. because nothing happened. And, people are criticizing those girls online, not knowing that they're innocent as well. You're creating victims out of thin air. And you're creating them, making them into bigger victims because they're being harassed by other people online saying, how could you lie? This and that. And a lot of them, it's not their fault. It's because people have gone through the photos online and start pulling it and pulling and putting on there. Say, look, listen, look, here it is. Here's the proof. But it's not proof. It's not proof. Until you have someone sit down with a lawyer, a district attorney, and transcribe the events that happen, and sue Vic. You're not going to get most of these, because basically the people that have criticized and said that this person is this person, it's way out of the target range for litigation, number one, if it's true. Two, the other half is that you have people saying that my best friend, my best friend's friend, it happened to. Why haven't they come forward? Because it's either beyond the scope or it never happened. The other half of this situation is the talk online, and now we've gotten a little bit more on there recently, and there's been a talk of Caitlin Sausalito, known as Mars Girl, who's now been posting stuff about Vic's mom online. Now, we're going to take that part of it very carefully. It's not a threat or anything of that nature. But when you start talking about the families of people online, there's an old saying from the streets, never talk about my mama. That's right, never talk about mama. And unfortunately, Miss Mars Girl, you've done that. So I'm going to give you this message directly to you. Don't know you. I know you were on the awesome channel, whatever it is. That channel failed. You think you could try to reclaim your career by doing this? You're mistaken. Right now, I hope that you've retained a lawyer, or at least spoken to someone about this, because you're getting into the territory where basically you're probably going to be named in round 2. If not by round 2, by round 3. And the way you've talked online, that is your finances, you're not you're not, I would say, I don't think you can handle a case of this nature out of your pocket. Unless you do some GoFundMe and stuff like that. And that's if anybody gives you any money. Which basically, I don't wish bad on anybody. But when you start to act this way, I'm going to tell you this. Stop talking online about this. Don't say anything else. Don't converse anything. Don't click on likes or anything of the nature. You want to have your opinion? That's your opinion. When you start talking where you're damaging and you're telling people, well, this is where his mom is, go check her out and stuff like that, you understand that you've already lit the flame on this whole Kick Vic situation. You didn't start it. Someone else started it. They were the oil and you were the flame. And let me tell you something. You wanted to do this to make yourself all big and mighty, just like when you were on, awesome channel to the situation. But let me tell you, I just saw a documentary on the channel on there, and I saw you guys didn't really get along. Big groups like this don't get along. I've been in big groups in the production business. I've been doing this longer than you, Miss Sausalito. Been doing it for years. And people have their vice. Some of them are weird. Some of them are very Napoleonic. And looking at the documentary that was done about you guys, the awesome channel you worked on, it looks like you had a lot of Napoleonics in there. And, you know, you want to take it upon yourself outside of that to put that thought atmosphere to this, thinking that you're going to be the hero of the day. You need to be careful right now. And everyone else that are on this Kick Vic on situation right now need to stay a little quiet for a while. Let this whole case go through. You know, Ron Toye, I think he's in the biggest trouble right there. And so is Jamie Marchi, because a lot of say Monica's in trouble, but, you know, she's lumped into the whole situation and she's in trouble in certain ways. Ron is going to be in real big, deep trouble. And Funimations, you know, it's going to be hard to settle this one out of court. I mean, this is $1 million lawsuit. What is it going to be like round 2, Caitlin? Mars girl, you think you can afford $1 million lawsuit between you and whoever else they throw in there? You know it's going to be IO9 and Anime News Network is probably going to be thrown in there, especially Anime News Network. If you notice, go to their site, they're raising money. They're not raising money. They're not saying they're raising money for legal. They said, they're raising money to basically keep them afloat and stuff like that. But is that they're starting to put together a war chest because they know it's coming. They know it's coming for the article they put together. And, we're going to see what happens because basically, and if you think that a media sheet like Anime News Network can't be sued, ask the Washington Post and ask CNN. Because basically right now, they're getting sued right now. Because of the whole situation where that Covington High School situation. We haven't forgotten about that. That's still in the air. And they're not even finished. They're going after celebrities next after those two big news media has been sued. And they're being sued for big dollars. Big dollars. 150, 100, 170. I think it's one is $150 million. Another one is $180 million or something of that nature. It's a lot of money. A lot of money. Whether the judge gives that money and all that doesn't matter. If they're found guilty of the situation, that's going to be a problem. Whether they pay you $100 or $100 million, getting a guilty on you, that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. If Anime News Network gets found guilty, could they go out of business? Yeah, they could probably go out. We're seeing a lot of these sites go out of business because basically they're losing money left and right, and they've published questionable stories online. And Anime News Network happens to be one of those sites that do publish questionable items on their line. So I say this to you, all of you on Twitter that put themselves in a Kick Vic situation. Take a moment before you post that next Twitter page up. Before you comment on there. Or start attacking Nick Rekieta, which that's the other thing now. Now they're attacking Nick Rekieta. And basically, that's a big problem in itself, too. He's a lawyer. He's only giving his comment as much as I'm giving comment now. And if you don't think he'll fight back, no, he may not be a wealthy man, but he does have a lot of friends in the legal business. And he don't have to hire the beard man. He knows he's got other people more locally close to him that are very good litigators. You know, it looks like he's welcoming, someone to come sue him. Go right ahead. See what happens. So like I said, next time you think to post something on Twitter or to comment on someone's Twitter post, think before you hit that enter button. Because that could be the one that really sends you to court. And that is put on these court papers like this. So comment below. I know we ranted a bit here. Tell me what you think of this whole kit and caboodle. Now, before we go, just understand that the mainstream media also has kicked in on this. We've seen stuff in Newsweek and in Variety on there. I'm not posting them up. I don't like how they put them on there, but you can go ahead, look on there. But in a way, this is saying that now the mainstream media is starting to kick in on this. So I'm hoping some good media sites start to pick this up. One America News happens to be one of them. They're very good. If you want to see some good news, if your cable service has that channel, One America News is a great channel because basically they only have maybe 2 news talk shows. The rest of the day, it's just pure news all day without the commentary in the news. It's just watching news. That's all it is. So I hope they pick it up at least. So until the 8 p.m. show, check you out a little bit later. I know we're going to be ranting. We're probably going to be ranting one more time. So until then, don't forget, we're all also on Minds.com and Gab.com where you can freely talk about this. So until then, check you out. Have a good one.